Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? आज वाले came to आज सब कैसे हो? So today I'm going over why you should never generalize partners, and by this I mean your intimate or romantic partners, based on astrology traits. Okay, this is always going to lead to some sort of disaster in the end. And the main reason why is because astrology is a spiritual science, while your desire and attachment is material purely. Okay, your desires and attachments, they are all ego based, right? You are looking at people and getting attached to them, for example, based off of you know certain material things about them, right? Whether it be their height or their looks or their body, whatever, right? Who they are at a core spiritual level has nothing to do with your attachment, right? The attachment is all up here, okay? I'm going to talk about more of the points in a second, but let me just go through them. And the second thing is your correlations and findings are super biased, right? And this kind of ties into what I said, because you are only drawing correlations based off of people who only have certain material aspects to them, right? Like they materially could look a certain way, or they could have a certain financial status or a certain popularity status, something like that, right? Next thing is that your classifications are extremely questionable, right? Like let's just say you're super, you just got a thing for like Jupiter men or like Mercury dominant women or whatever, right? What makes you put this person in this classification, right? It is extremely questionable, right? There are so many layers to the spiritual science. You can't just clump them into a classification, right? This is a purely material thing, and this is a purely material thing because it's a pure material attachment to a certain possible group that you've identified, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with drawing correlations in astrology, right? To like understand things at a bigger level or whatever, right? But when you do this, you're generalizing your own personal partners. This is going to lead to extreme disaster, right? Because these are people that you should be knowing at like a deeper level. I'll talk more about it in a second, but let me just keep going through. Next is that exception cases do exist, okay? Even if there's absolutely no questionability in your classifications, which there will be, your correlations and findings are not biased at all, which they will be, and somehow, well, this is not even possible, but let's just say in some alternative universe, your desire and attachment was not material and purely spiritual, there still could be some exception case that exists of why your everything that you believe in regards to this is invalid, okay? Now, the reason we do this is because we are avoiding self-improvement via the victim mindset, okay? And we're not tackling the root cause. This is the main thing, okay? Instead of tackling the root cause, which is, hey, I need to accept that, let's just say, this person, broke your heart, right? And they were just much better looking than you. Rather than, blaming it on some astrology trait, right? And saying, oh my God, Saturn this, whatever. Just understand that, hey, I'm not a confident person. I, was attached to someone because it gave me the illusion of suddenly being a more confident and, better looking person because I'm associated with them, right? This is what I need to get over, right? Not the fact that, oh, let me stop looking out for this trait, right? Okay, I'm gonna keep going, but I'll circle back on all this. Use this only as a spiritual tool, detachment, acceptance, etc. Okay? So if you're somewhat interested in the science, you're going to notice certain things, right? But you want to notice them more in yourself versus the other person, right? There's a quote out there. I don't know exactly how it goes, but it's like blaming other people means that like you're at like a low level of spiritual elevation. While when you look internal and blame yourself and try to self-improve however you can, that requires a higher level of self-improvement and spiritual vibration and all that kind of stuff, right? So you want to look in and see, okay, in any situation like with your partners that went bad or something like that or whatever, what kind of detachment could you have done to prevent this? What kind of acceptance could you have done to prevent this so that it doesn't happen again? Okay, but not looking for superficial willy-nilly to just dismiss all your reckless behavior, okay? Next is that there's this thing called spiritual path nonsense, right? You making bad decisions is not a part of your spiritual path, right? You can't blame everything that requires any sort of self accountability on your spiritual path, right? You have to look internal and, just accept whatever you need to accept to make your own life better. Okay, we can't use this as an excuse always. Okay, now I'm going to circle back on all the points one more time. Astrology is a spiritual science. Okay, so I actually made a video. I want to say it's like 15 videos ago, maybe like 3 months ago. Why astrology can be complete nonsense, right? People use it to basically do all kinds of stuff, which I talked about in that video. But what you need to understand from that video is that this is a spiritual supplemental tool. Okay, it is designed to help you spiritually, and it's just a supplement to help you spiritually, right? It does not, to an extent, like control your life or like designed, for any other manipulative material purposes that could exist in today's, more westernized world, right? Your attachments, so we know astrology is a spiritual tool. Your attachments and desires are material. Anything from your mind, it's looking at the material things about a person, right? It's not looking at, how honest they were. Or, even that you can sum up as material, right? But who they are at a core spiritual level, we're all the same, right? We're all, just at the end of the day, that consciousness, right? Anything on top of that, that's just temporarily here right now, for example, our ego, that's what our ego gets attached to, right? Like our bodies and things like that. So anything in regards to that, which is basically anything outside of consciousness, is material and has nothing to do with you getting attached to certain astrological traits, because certain astrological traits are all spiritual, right? And we at a spiritual level are all, connected and the same, right? Now, if you feel that void after someone's gone or whatever, that has nothing to do with spirituality or astrology, okay? And another thing, let's just say, you come up with some conclusion that people who have like Venus in their first house, you're more attracted to them, right? There are 1 million, for every 1 million people, right, that have that, you might be crazy over 100 of them, right? There are so many more people out there that have the exact same condition, right? But you're just summing it up to one thing, right? Which takes me to my next point, that your classifications are extremely questionable and your correlations are and findings are biased. And these two kind of tie together, right? And the reason why is because you are trying to form some type of summary based off of your own desire and attachment, which has nothing to do with spirituality, which is the root of astrology. It has all to do with how what your material like attachments and desires are. So all this is kind of colored and filtered based off of this, not based off of this. If you are analyzing this, okay? If you're just analyzing regular Joe Schmo people down the street, that's a completely separate thing, right? But I'm talking about you generalizing your partners, okay? Next is that, exception cases do exist. This really doesn't apply because there's no way you're going to have, perfect conclusions drawn up anyways. I just proved to you how 99% of everything that's out there in regards to generalizing partners based off of astrology traits is wrong, right? So on the off 0.000001% chance that you got it all right, there's going to be some exception cases, okay? The next thing is that, you do this, and by doing this, you're not tackling the root issue, right? You're not tackling the root issue. Like I said, this is a supplemental spiritual tool, okay? Supplemental, right? This is not the main, go to, like, just forget everything else and just look at this, right? You want to tackle the root cause, right? You want to tackle the detachment, the acceptance that you have to do, right? You do not want to avoid self-improvement, right? And self-improvement does not happen at the material level. It does not happen by saying, oh, avoid people with these traits, avoid people that say this, right? This can be a part of it, but the root cause is you'll naturally just not attract or really want anything to do with people, right? Once you cover your own fears, once you cover your own insecurities, actually, right? Once you work on your own confidence issues, once you do the actual hard work, then everything on the surface will just clear up, and that's it. But until you do this, you know, this is just like a little, all this, you know, correlations of, you know, certain superficial traits and stuff like that. This is all great, but this is like the last 1%. This is like the main 99%, and people will skip this and just do this, right? Okay. Next is, like I said, don't think that this is just all part of your spiritual path and stuff, right? And it could be, right, to an extent, but don't blame it on this. Always try to see what could you have done to an extent, right? This is something that's extremely lost these days, especially if you're doing this. You're definitely probably not doing this that much, right? You need to do, you know, less of this and less of blaming your spiritual path and more of this, right? More of this, more of the meditation, the yoga, the, you know, turning off your cell phone, you know, quitting social media, that kind of stuff, right? That's what's going to, you know, fix all the stuff and fix your life. And then when you fix yourself, you'll fix the people you attract, okay? Made plenty of videos on that you can watch. But I think I nailed this one for the most part. I said everything I wanted to say. And then just another thing. Anybody who's telling you certain, you know, traits are, you know, leading to certain partners and things like that, I'm not saying that they're right. I'm not saying that they're wrong. But just keep in mind all of this. Does this make sense? Okay? Or are they specifically looking at a group of people with certain material status? Okay? That's all I'm going to say. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.